Tell you a story here after we get all done here.
Okay.
Tell me when
You'll
you're
get a
ready.
kick out of it.
Okay, we're going live. I think we are live at this point, so. Well, it is 5 o'clock PM on Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023. We will call the Common Council meeting to order. Let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Hold on, I'll wait. Hello. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Man, I would have been gassed running like.
Roll call, please.
Weagle.
Here.
Varga.
Here.
Middleton. Here. Crowder.
Here.
Romano.
Here.
Okay, so we have two sets of minutes tonight. The first one is from April 25th. So this would be for Jenny, Jennifer, and Tad. Any changes or corrections? Okay, can I have a motion?
I
So
moved.
moved.
Oh, second.
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Tad. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. You abstain.
No.
Jenny, Tad, and Jennifer approve, and Dan and Walt abstain. Next up is the minutes from May 9th. Were there any changes or corrections? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tad, second by Jennifer. Further discussion? All those in favor for the usual sign. Tad, Jennifer, Dan, and Walt approve, and Jenny abstains. Okay, now we have the second reading of the rezone. So I gotta get there real quick. Apologize. Okay, can I have a motion to read ordinance 2023-9 by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Tad. Further discussion? All those in favor, show by the usual sign. It's unanimous. Please read ordinance number 2023-9 by title only.
Ordinance 2023-10, an ordinance enacting the, oh, I'm sorry,
Nine.
wrong one. -9.
That's Marcia.
An ordinance amending the zoning classification of certain property from the residential R1 family, single-family residential district to the R3 multifamily residential district.
So this is the rezone of the Bluffs at Cider Mill, or KRJ properties, or a portion of the Bluffs at Cider Mill. And this is the second reading of it. So any questions, comments, concerns since the last time? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve ordinance 2023-9 on second and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tad, seconded by Walt. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Okay. Next up, we have a plethora of compliance with statement of benefits. So we'll go one by one here. So the first one we have is Casey Jones Plating for personal property, 2015. Any questions about this one? I think this is one of those that we typically have some questions about, but I know Keith has been in the past to kind of explain what they continue to fight. And I think also, if I remember correctly, this is that happened before the fire, and then the fire came in and there was issues with that, if you remember. So, any questions?
I will say that Dale has reviewed all of these, so, all of them. from the-
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to find Casey Jones Plating personal property in compliance and approve an additional year of abatement?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jenny, seconded by Tad. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Next up is Columbia City Solar Array LLC, also known as IMPA, or IMPA. Questions regarding that, you can see that obviously the assessed valuation and the total costs were significantly higher than what they thought, what was proposed, if you will. So, questions regarding this one? Do I have a motion to approve Columbia City Solar Array, or I'm sorry, to find Columbia City Solar Array LLC personal property in compliance and grant an additional year of abatement?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Tad. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Next up is VD2 LLC, which is the Holiday Inn Express. So this is kind of an interesting one because they have not been in past years. But we had approved a 10-year schedule, and so they sent it back in. If you look at what their property taxes did without the abatement, it's a pretty significant hike. Like, I think their property tax hike from last year to this year was like 200% because of, I guess, because the abatement wasn't there and other things like that. So,
Yeah. Has it been 2 years since?
well, so we approved this back in 2016 was the estimated start date. I guess completion was 17. I think we approved this original one back in, 2015? But, yeah, we approved it back in 15, but keep in mind that it really doesn't start till after completion of the construction, I believe, so. And again, I think there were a couple years they didn't fill out the paperwork, so they didn't
Yeah,
get the
that's what
abatement.
yeah.
2020 was the last one we have approved.
Okay, that
There you
makes
go.
sense, yeah.
There you go.
So this did get turned in on time?
Yes, this did get turned in on time, yes.
Yeah.
Questions? Okay, so, do I have a motion to find BD2 LLC real property in compliance and grant an additional year of abatement?
This is really, I don't know, maybe I'm reading this
Yes.
wrong, but it seems, is it incomplete, Rosie? Because I don't see what the estimates were.
Well, okay, so keep in mind, when this was built, there weren't current employees.
Yeah.
And there weren't number of employees retained.
Yeah.
So I think what they did is they took what they were adding 14, and so at that point, they were expecting to have 14, and then obviously since that time, they've retained 8, and they have 5 additional. So,
And this is exactly how they filled out their SB1 originally, the zeros,
Yeah.
because there was like.
So is this kind of their starting point?
yeah, well, the zeros would be their starting point, yes. Because keep in mind, there was nothing there before they built the hotel, so.
Right. So 2/3, are they short 2/3 of their, I'd say, goal for the actual dollar value?
Well, I think they're only one person short of what they were expecting, because the 8 plus the 5, if you will, so they're 13. From a dollar value so I'm just looking at the employees and salaries part, right?
Right.
So if you look at 167 plus 123, you're at like what, 280, 290?
290.
Basically, 290,000. So they're a little below estimate on salaries.
Okay.
And they're, somewhat below, obviously significantly below estimate on real estate improvements or the actual value. But keep in mind, again, they go off of what they expect the value is. Those numbers were turned in with the expected, here's what we're gonna spend on it. And that doesn't necessarily, all the actual value doesn't necessarily translate into the actual assessed value of the property.
So the last 12 months is the true picture for next year.
I guess theoretically, I think the answer is yes to what you're asking, yes.
But this is still, like you said, startup mode.
Well, and I don't know that it's startup mode anymore,
They've been there
but,
for 3 or 4 years now.
but, yeah, but the zero, the estimated on SB1, that was the startup.
Yeah.
That was where they had nothing and they were building a brand new hotel on top of it, right? So,
Right.
And I'm guessing, just knowing the environment, that probably getting individuals to work at a hotel probably is not the easiest thing in this current job force.
Yeah. Well, the good news, I see a lot of vehicles there. I mean,
Some
I
of
see
the
there.
comments that I got is it needs some help.
Does it? Okay. Well, I guess
Comments I've
that's
heard
something
from
that they
various
have to
people that've
fix,
been out
so.
there, it needs help.
Like it needs employees or?
Well, between employees and cleanliness and things of that nature, that's just stuff I've been hearing from outside. I'd like to hope it's one of the better ones, but, you know, his history hasn't been good to
I
begin
know,
with.
I know.
So some of the comments I heard, not a positive response. I can't, I mean,
Yeah.
I am not out there, I
Yeah.
don't see that, but.
I
What's
mean-
the deadline for this to be approved?
Well, I think we're getting close.
Yeah.
I guess the thing I would, so I don't disagree with what you're hearing, okay? I guess the other thing I would just add though is that obviously they built a hotel there. They built a Holiday Inn Express there. I recognize there's ways that it needs to get better. I still think it's probably one of the better ones that we have.
I'd like to hope so.
Right? But keep in mind that there's an additional $2.4 million of assessed valuation that we didn't have before they built it. So,
And we have to judge off of this information,
Sure.
not off of
Right.
hearsay or
Right.
Right.
gut feelings, so.
I watched Judge Judy.
And they're close. I mean, they're not off a ton,
I
Right.
go up here.
so.
And hey, they got it in on time this year.
yes.
So I think it leans to the plus side of giving them the abatement.
Yeah. I mean, I'll make a motion that we pass resolution 2019-10, I think it is.
Well, yeah, so-
Or approve their paperwork.
Sure.
Their abatement.
So, okay, so are you offering to find BD2 in compliance and grant an additional year of abatement?
Yes,
Okay, I have a motion by Tad.
as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Tad, seconded by Walt. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Thank you. Next up is Brindley Properties LLC, real property for 2016. What are you looking at?
I got it.
It's quite a ways down.
Yeah, I was,
Are you looking at what page we are at?
where we're at,
35, I think.
35.
35?
Mhm.
Thank you. I was spinning through here and I got all lost,
It's okay.
all this stuff.
Okay. Any questions regarding this one?
It's just interesting that their estimated salaries are higher than they expected, but the number of employees is
Mhm.
lower.
Lower. Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind, when this was actually submitted, though, like, the world has changed in the
Yeah.
last 3 years when it comes to
Salary-wise.
salaries and
Yep.
pay.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I agree. Okay, do I have a motion to find Rindley Properties LLC real property in compliance and grant an additional year of abatement?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jenny, seconded by Jennifer. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Next up is Quality Inspection Engage, or QIG. And that is a personal property from 2016. Any questions?
It's the same kind of thing.
Yep.
Very similar
That's
numbers.
the exact same numbers.
Yes. Yeah, they're the same. They're- I think Brindley Properties is the same thing as Quality Inspection Gates. It's the same location. So keep in mind that there were different abatements that were granted for that company, Quality Inspection Gauge. So that's why you're seeing, I'm sorry, that I wasn't clear about that. So this one was for personal property, which, let me get there. Yeah, the last one was for actual construction. This one was for personal property or machinery. And you can see the Brown and Sharp coordinate measuring machine, CNC mill that's there. Any questions about this one? Okay, Do I have a motion to find Quality Inspection Engage, or QIG, in compliance and grant an additional year of abatement?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Dan. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Next up is JV Investments.
Yeah, that first one is Dunham's.
First one is Dunham's. Nope, first one's Dollar Tree.
Oh, it is?
At least in the packet, let's see.
Mhm.
2021.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
This is drops significantly. Wow.
Yeah, so here's what's interesting about this is that, you know, obviously, their employees, their employee number has dropped and their obviously salaries has dropped as well. The actual assessed valuation of what was expected obviously is double what this is. And this is a real property, so this is a construction project, but, I agree. But what's interesting, I think, is if you then look at the next JV Investments, it's fairly significantly different as well. It's on the other side of the equation, if you will. So, any questions about this one or conversation points? Okay, do I have a motion to find JV Investments for real property 2021 in compliance and grant an additional year of abatement?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tad, seconded by Jenny. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Next up is JV Investments for real property. This is for the Dunham's, Label Shopper, Wings, etc., 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 etc.
Well played.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Those numbers actually look great.
Yes.
I see, yeah.
Yes, they do. So, any questions regarding this? Okay. Do I have a motion to find JV Investments Real Property 2020, well, 2013, but it's also 2021, in compliance and grant an additional year of abatement?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jennifer, second by Dan. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous.
Did you show that?
I didn't do that, but she did. Well, that was the one we did previously.
Oh,
Dollar
this
Tree.
is Dunham's.
No, that's Dollar Tree. Well, I know it says that, it's not.
Okay,
The next one is Dunham's,
okay.
yeah. Okay, next one is Kyocera, Kyocera SGS Precision Tools, that's for personal property 2020. Well, let's see, this says 15. Do you see that? No, you don't.
I'm sorry.
So that's okay. So the first one says 2015 in the actual
Yeah,
resolution number.
They had so many,
Okay. So I think, well, so let me just take it how it's in the packet. How about that?
yeah.
That sound right? Okay. So we're gonna take the 2015-2 resolution number there for SGS Precision Tools Kyocera. This is for personal property. You can see what they bought with a Swiss CNC, the grinder, the software upgrades, etc. Everyone see that? Any questions? Obviously, the numbers got cut off in the cost and value section, but the actual employees, retained employees, etc. looks pretty good, I think. Any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to find Kyocera SGS Precision Tools Personal Property 2015 in compliance and grant an additional year of abatement?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Jennifer. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Next up is Kyocera 2000, is that the right same one? Oh, they sent a lot of information here. Okay, so the next one I'm on is page 61, and that is for Kyocera SGS Precision Tools, Personal Property 2020. Those numbers look a little weird.
Really weird.
Employees went up, but the salaries went down.
Yeah. And I don't know if those numbers were transposed or what I mean, you know, here's the problem when you have multiple, abatements with the same company is how do you attribute this machine went to this, but that's what, you see what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to make excuses for them because I don't know why their numbers are where they're at there, but I think in totality, Kyocera clearly is doing well. So, I don't know what you want to do with that, but have any problem with it?
This is really off.
It's weird, isn't
Is
it?
it the 220-18 you're talking?
This is 2020-18, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, because even the estimate and the
And-
actual, like the actuals.
they had to redo this a couple times only because the county assessor wouldn't approve it.
Mm.
Because
Okay.
they had to list these things separate. So I thought she had them all done correctly now, but
I mean, it's just really hard to,
180.
I mean, it's incomplete information, or it's transposed, or
This is one of those situations where it'd be really nice if they came in here to
Yeah,
answer
I
these
agree.
questions.
I agree. I agree. So,
We could table
you
it,
know,
right?
when I don't know how much time we have. That's up, Rosie, I don't know what you have to, I don't know.
well, they
what-
had to be turned in here by the 15th. If you extend it and approve it, then they'll take it. So it's up to you guys. You want it on the next one?
I mean, I think I think if it was more clear, you know, we know they have a good history, but I don't even know how to read this.
I think we should table it to the next one, just so
Yeah.
we can verify the numbers.
And
Just-
even if Dale could, oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
go
I didn't mean
ahead. No,
that.
no.
Even if Dale could come in and say, well, this is
Yeah.
this, for this reason.
Rose, you have the 22-26 one in front of you, 2022-26.
The next one.
Because the front page of the one in the packet was 2015.
It's like blank.
Well, I also have a
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I'm trying
I mean,
to
here's the thing,
really
this is important to
understand
them, and They
this.
should be here to answer
Well,
the
yeah,
questions.
you know,
So-
it's-
This
I
is,
mean,
Okay.
we're not talking about
So
like
my-
$100 or something like.
yeah.
And I have no problem if you want to table those, if you want to table those last two. I will tell you that in the packet, 2022-26, I don't think it has the right front page. At least I couldn't find it unless I'm just not reading this correctly.
Well, I had sent back and told them I had to have that front page.
Okay, because I think we got 2015 twice. Here's the point, is that, I'm gonna pass down 2022-26, which is the second, we'll say the third Kyocera one, and those numbers look strange, look kind of different, like with that one. The first one looked good, the second and third one look a little questionable. So I think it's valuable maybe if you want to have them come in to the next meeting.
I agree.
I think I would suggest maybe tabling both the second and the third Kyocera ones, purely for the sake of understanding them.
Right.
Yeah, because one of them practically blank. I think it's the third one, or
The
maybe
third
I'm
one.
not,
2020-18 has no employees retained,
yeah, that was.
additional employees, et cetera. It does have values of the actual equipment
did
in
you say
there.
2018?
2020-18,
Okay. 'cause I
which is
got-
the first one, is that the first one we approved? Oh my gosh.
No, we approved the second one first.
We approved 2015-2?
Yeah.
Yes, because those numbers looked good, you are correct. So, my suggestion is, we take the personal property 2020 and the personal property 2022, we table those till the next meeting and ask Kyocera to have a representative here. Is that what I hear you all saying?
That is
Yes.
what
Or
we're
Dale.
Here,
Or
here,
Dale, either way, but.
I would prefer the company.
Kyocera. Okay.
here you go, Jen.
Rosie, can we ask for those two to be clarified and have Kyocera here at the next one if possible? Again, that's 2020 and 2022. Here's 22.
Okay.
There's 22. I just gave you
Oh,
21,
22,
20,
26, yeah.
20. And then 15 was approved, or, yeah,
Yeah, that's the CF one for that, okay.
yeah. 2015 was approved,
That's basically right
and 2020 was tabled, and 2022 was tabled.
Yep.
Okay? Okay. Did you get Amy Biggs taken care of?
We're in the process.
Okay, good, thank you. Next up is Titus Precision LLC. Get there real quick. That is on page 79, I think. Yeah, page 79 of the packet. Questions about Titus Precision?
Looks good.
I thought so too. Okay.
That's good.
Do I have a motion to find Titus Precision Real Property 2016 in compliance and grant an additional year of abatement?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Tad for the discussion. All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Thank you. Next up is ordinance 2023-10. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Tad for the discussion. All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Please read ordinance number 2023-10 by title only.
Ordinance 2023-10, an ordinance enacting the adopting supplement of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Columbia City and declaring an emergency. So I'd like to have it passed.
In one reading? Okay. So as we have in past years, by adopting this kind of codifies the things that we passed in the past. And so by doing that, we declare an emergency and pass it in one reading as we have in the past to get these codified. It does not change any law at all. All it does is codify what we've approved in the past. Any questions regarding this? We've done this enough. I think you guys know what this is. So with that, can I have a motion to approve ordinance 2023-10 on first and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Walt, seconded by Jenny. Further discussion. All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Okay. Next up on our agenda is the August 22nd City Council meeting. That date falls in conjunction with the AIM Ideas Summit. And so I would like the council to consider changing the date of the 22nd council meeting to the 29th. That is 1 week later. The Board of Works approved that at the previous meeting here, that we would move our August 22nd Board of Works meeting to the 29th. I'm asking for the council to do the same in light of the AIM Cities and Towns Conference that will be happening at that same time.
What was the reason for moving it all the way up that far?
Because of municipal election year. So because people will be campaigning and stuff, they want to make sure they have a good turnout, so they bumped it all the way up to August. Yep. Anybody have any problems with the 29th?
Nope.
Okay, we all good? Yes? Okay,
Good.
so officially, the city council meeting on August 22nd will officially be moved to the 29th. Last thing before department head meeting I have on my agenda is to talk about driver card resolution. We've kind of held this in limbo because we've had multiple conversations because of some people being here at this meeting and some people being here at that meeting. So I wanted to find out, I wasn't sure whether or not Mr. Rodriguez would be here tonight. I anticipated if he was, he would be asking where we're at. So I tried to double anticipate that to figure out where the council is or thoughts on kind of where you're at with the driver's card. Again, you can see in your packet, or that you've had it, or maybe you've seen in your packet multiple other resolutions from other communities, just kind of showing support, if you will, for the cause. Again, nothing can happen until the legislature acts on it, but I know they are requesting some action being taken, and if this council chooses not to do that, you can choose not to do that as well. Again, full disclosure, I've been supportive of it, purely for the sake of if we can cut down on the amount of individuals who are uninsured driving on the streets. That would be good, as long as it doesn't grant any additional privileges of citizenship or anything like that. Obviously, I'm not supportive of anybody jumping the line, which I feel pretty confident that wouldn't allow that. But Go ahead.
I mean, I respect what they're trying to do, but my problem with it is, when I'm reading through this thing, it talks about undocumented, and it also says unauthorized immigrants. Well, when you got unauthorized immigrants, undocumented immigrants, these people are just coming across the border and they're getting special privileges. I have a problem with that. If they would come in and do the right thing and come in and follow the procedures that are in place, become documented, start the process of becoming a U.S. citizen, I have no problem with that. But these guys are going to go ahead and get a driver's card without doing any of that stuff. I have a problem with that. I think these people need to earn the right. It's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to be in the United States, and you're still going to have these guys going out and driving around anyway. And I just, once they become documented and they start the process of being a U.S. citizen, hey, I might be able to say, hey, you know what, they're trying. I don't really have a problem with maybe helping them understand the rules of what it takes to be a U.S. citizen. And I might be able to say, hey, they might be able to have a driver's card. But these guys that are just coming in out of nowhere, we don't know what they're up to. We don't know, they're not documented. Are we giving them permission to drive drugs across the country? We don't know. We don't know where these people are coming from. I'm not very supportive of just giving, a guy that, okay, I took driving classes. I know I'm supposed to have insurance. But who are they? And why, I'm just struggling with just giving, these people are just getting numerous privileges without doing anything to be here. I'm not, I don't know, I'm struggling with that part. I just think they need to earn the right to be here. I just have a problem with that. And like I said, if they would do the right thing and go through the process that's in place, I'm not saying it's the best, but if they would actually start the process of being a U.S. citizen, I think then I would be more supportive of this. But just to say, well, we gotta, and then in here it also states how one of the reasons they're afraid of being deported. Well, they're here illegally. They should be scared about being that way. If you're illegal, you're illegal. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Do whatever it takes to become legal. Get documented, do the right thing, and start the process of citizenship. But to just go out and give these people a privilege of driving, I don't know, I'm a little apprehensive of that.
Originally, I kind of was with you, Dan, but then looking at it and reading more into it, I definitely see it's a way to protect our citizens also, because they do have to go through and pay fees when it comes to actually having the driver's license permit itself. Along with that, they have to provide documentation that they have insurance, because there's so many accidents that do occur that they're uninsured, and with them being uninsured, and even if they're illegal immigrants or whatever, it's still going to be falling on our citizens if they get in an accident. So it almost gives a little bit more protection to our citizens out there. They're going to drive whether they want to drive with a license or without a license. They're going to drive. So they would actually pay the fees and have car insurance to help reduce our fees and help reduce what we're going to be paying for our car insurance, because there would be less accidents happening for the uninsured with that. And along with that, it's giving the state more additional revenue for them paying for the fees to have the license, and it's more control, checks and balances.
I would think the officer taking that driver's card would now have confirmation that this is really who it is. So again, if the background check, or if they're illegally, he would know that a lot sooner than if he didn't have anything to work with. So I see it as an ID card. Again, it's definitely thinking out of the box of giving them the option to drive, but they have to pay, they have to do the due process, and to me, it's just another way of confirming what's going on for the illegal people who is there illegally, that the law enforcement agency maybe would have the upper hand, at least identifying if they, where they're at in that status. That's kind of, I agree with you, Jimmy, and Dan, I agree with you. This is not fix all. It's just another tool, you may say, to help verify who are they?
So, Dan, one of the questions I asked Ed at the last meeting was, because I feel the exact same way that you do. I have a sister-in-law who, it took her 4.5 years to go through the entire immigration process. And we had a big celebration for her when she got granted U.S. citizenship, you know. And so for people who go through the process, it's a, you know, they feel like, hey, I did all this, why can't you do it? And that was what I, you know, presented to Ed. And so one of the things that he said for the 2024, what is going to be presented
Oh,
is
legislature.
anybody who does this will automatically, they have to file for citizenship once it becomes available. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. I mean, some of these people have been here, because when they came in the first time, I asked them how long they'd been here.
Yeah.
One of them said 19 years. Well,
Yeah.
COVID didn't happen 19 years ago,
Yeah.
okay? So,
Although they could have been citizens, though, to be fair.
well, no, I asked them.
Oh, you asked them if they were not, okay.
And
gotcha.
so, yeah, but you have to give
Yeah.
grace and forgiveness.
Sure.
So I totally get that. So I think maybe, and I don't know how they do it.
Sure.
How they keep track of it. I have no clue. But at least, you know, they, under this, the way that Ed presented, now, I don't know, maybe we'll find out when we read the bill, or someone who's a lot smarter than me reads the bill and explains it to me, that they will actually have to file for citizenship under this. If they get this card or ID, then they're automatically in line for the citizenship process.
But I don't think it gets them ahead in the.
No, it doesn't get them ahead. They just, they're required, as soon as it's available for them to sign up for it, then they have to do it in
Yeah.
order to keep this identification.
Mhm. Yeah.
Is the way Ed presented, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
I think that's true, and that's what I wrote, kind of a note, is that I think if this council were to decide to move forward with a resolution of sorts, I think that certainly could be a line in there that said, we support and encourage that the individuals have a requirement to file
Absolutely.
for citizenship
Absolutely.
within a year or whatever it is of getting the driver's card. And
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm supportive of that.
Like I say, I still think they need to be some form of document. I mean, I understand, you know,
Sure.
but follow the process that's in place. It might not be perfect, but, you know, we don't know who these people are. We don't know what they bring and what kind of baggage you're bringing along with us, with this thing. And I don't know, I wish there was a way to make sure they do the right thing by
Sure.
being processed, instead of just bum rushing the border and coming across, and now, we get all these privileges.
Yeah.
I just don't like giving privileges to people that do it that way. If you do it the right way, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just struggling with, giving these people special privileges when they haven't done things the proper way.
Yeah, pretty good thought there. You want to add anything?
I'm just so conflicted on a lot of different levels. On one hand, I am the child of an immigrant, and the process that my mother and grandparents went through to get here was difficult and time-consuming and not handled the best by those in charge of doing it.
Sure.
So like, on one hand, there's that, but then also, I mean, if we have a way of protecting our citizens by expecting that people have insurance, I mean, that's a whole other level of nightmare when you get in an accident with somebody who's uninsured.
Is uninsured.
And we have that to ourselves.
I mean, I understand that point, but, you know, they shouldn't be allowed to, I mean, I know they're gonna do it anyway, you know, but, I know, I have no idea who is working for Certa here, but those guys work at Blackhawk.
Yes, they do.
They couldn't speak a lick of English, but they work hard.
I think another point too is like, if this is a step that gets them to begin to be documented, and they have to play by the rules to some extent, I think that's a good thing.
And they still could be pulled over even if they got the card, they could still be here illegally.
Yeah, I mean, I think
You know what
that's,
I mean, that's, it
Yeah.
doesn't give them,
Right, and there's gonna be, I'm sure, a lot of trepidation on their part for signing up for this. Is this putting a red flag on me
Mhm.
to get, snatched out of the country?
And this is only for Indiana.
Yes, this is only for the state of Indiana.
That we're talking about, but there's 17 states already.
That do
have
that,
it.
yes, but they
Okay.
can't take their driver, I don't know that they can take their driver card to any other state.
I think it's only for the state. that
I think
you
it's
get
only
it.
for the state of Indiana, yes, I agree with
that's
that.
what I
Yeah.
read through there.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
a free ticket to go. across
Sure,
the
absolutely. So I guess I just wonder, is it something where we want to have Marcia craft a resolution or have Rosie or whoever, I guess probably have Marcia, go through these and kind of craft a resolution with some of those thoughts and opinions in mind, keeping it more relative and general to say like, we obviously are supportive of citizenship. We strongly believe that individuals that are here undocumented or individuals who are here, I guess illegally, that we strongly believe that citizenship is the path that they need to take, and that if they are given the ability to have a driver card, that we believe there should be some mandate for them to sign up for the citizenship process.
I think it's a good
something
idea
like
that whatever resolution reflect some of the opinions of those on,
I 100% agree, yeah.
and not be a boilerplate of whatever anybody
I
else
agree,
has used.
I agree.
Well, our resolution will just go before somebody that crafts the true meaning at the state level. But we say it doesn't really,
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like any other resolution that we passed. I mean, frankly, it's just like the resolution of support for the food and beverage tax. That was just something I kind of threw together with, I think this is what they want from us kind of a thing, right? And so it will be,
But they're coming here wanting an opinion from us, so
Yes.
our opinion should reflect what our opinion is.
I agree. And honestly, I don't know that, I mean, if our opinion is, hey, we don't want you to have driver's cards, then I think that's something that, but I do think, and the reason why I was asking about putting it on the agenda is I do think we need to have some response because they, Ed has came to 2 different meetings. I anticipate he probably, maybe he didn't get the memo, but I anticipate him maybe to be here today, but I do think, yeah, in 18 minutes. But I guess my point is, I do think that they deserve some kind of response in some way. And if it's something where, I guess that's why I'm just asking is it the belief, at least of the majority of council, and Dan, whether you're a part of that or not is up to you, but is it the belief to craft a resolution that takes those pieces into account and presents something to the council to debate and discuss? And then if you get it in front of you and you're like, no, this doesn't incorporate what we really want, we scratch this, we can work through that at the next meeting. But just to have something to start with that we can work through.
I think
is
that's
that-
fair.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. So, Marcia, I'm assuming you can hear this. I think you're still on, right? So, Marcia, you and I can kind of try to incorporate some of this comments and conversation into a resolution that maybe we can get to the next meeting potentially.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Good discussion.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, very good. I think that's all I got. So, department head reports, they're falling away really quickly. So, Mike,
Can I go first?
you may.
Because I got
Yep.
to get with Amy. We're still working on the water main going down the back of Moshes Park. Last week, we did 80 new meters put in the system, taking the old ones out and putting AMI in. A majority of them, or quite a few of them, is the bigger meters for like the dentist office, the laundromat, the car wash, 2 inches or bigger, which we should see an increase in volume of water they use, because as a meter gets old, it slows down, it does not speed up. And so the new meters that we have detect a lower flow than the old meters were taken out. So like a lot of like your ice makers and stuff like that will not be seeing, the low flow. So we should be able to pick it up with the newer meters. And so this week, I'm hoping to be pretty close to 80 again. So, yeah, we're getting that done.
Questions of Mike?
just one, couple of people asked me this, I don't know, I know you're really busy, but flushing hydrants, is that something that,
Yeah, we will probably start that. Usually we do it in the fall. Now, if we get a complaint about discolored water or a smell, a lot of people think if they smell chlorine, now this is, if they smell chlorine, that the chlorine is high. It is not. If you smell chlorine, it's because your line is probably a dead-end line and the chlorine residual is low. I'll come out and flush the hydrant. You won't smell the chlorine anymore, but your chlorine level in that water in that line will be higher.
and I didn't even know people cared about that.
Well, but they smell, but that's what they smell, you know. You know, there's something wrong with my water, I smell chlorine.
Okay.
It's just because it's not being used fast enough in that line. So we will go out and flush like the cul-de-sacs and that, but we usually try to do it when the kids are in school because we don't want them riding through the stream because they could get hurt.
Sure. I like to say, I'm like, well, I
I mean,
surprised.
I did.
I was surprised. We had a couple problems.
Explains a lot.
I said, why, what?
Did you eat paint chips too when you were a kid, Mike?
Oh, sure.
There's some good Chris Farley references going on right now. Any questions? Any other questions?
Nothing. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Terry?
Thanks, Mike.
SOS started today extending the fiber into the north water tower. And also all the equipment has been ordered for the extension of the fiber network into the new park office. So we're waiting for the equipment to come in for that project to get going. Other than that, that's it.
Questions of Terry? Thank you, Terry. Mike?
Real quick, wet testing, all the samples been in, I've not heard from them, so no news is good news. Got a progress meeting on CSO 19, they pulled the forms off the new concrete that was poured. Looks really good. I'm waiting on quotes back for SCADA upgrades for this year. And working on the air release valve, the pipes that come out of the ground for the air release valves on the SDI force main. I have staff members painting those and some of them had to be relettered and renumbered because it's starting to flake off. So, good question.
Questions of Mike? Thank you, Mike. Marcia?
Nothing.
Rosie?
Nothing.
A couple things for your information. First, I have bad news. Bad news is that we are going to reject the bids for Eagle Park, and we're going to shelve it for a little while. Came in about $1 million over. I can't find $1 million extra. So we're going to do some value engineering on the infrastructure side. We're going to see what kind of things maybe we can do in-house. But we only had one bidder for each of the parts of it, and we just really struggle with that. So we're going to go out and probably bid it later, maybe late fall, early winter, when it's a better time frame, where they're trying to fill their schedules, so maybe the bids will get a little more competitive. We're going to look at a couple of those things. So unfortunately, that means Eagle Park isn't going to be built this year, and I'm sorry. It stinks. I haven't had to shelf a project in 12 years. This is the first one, so it stinks. But it's just the right thing for right now, because unless you guys want to find $1 million somewhere, I just think it's not the right time. Secondly, just to keep in mind is that probably mid to late summer, we're going to be bidding out the trail project to the new high school. Scares the bejesus out of me for the same reason the Eagle Park just got shelved. So we're still working on final engineering of that. But they'll have until the end of '24 to build that thing. So that may help with timing and stuff. We'll kind of see. So that's FYI for that. Some things just from a calendar perspective, just so you're aware, is that budget meetings are happening right now. So we're putting together that budget. We're a little bit later, but not much than normal. So we'll get those meetings set up. Lunch with the mayor is this Thursday. We had an Old Settlers meeting yesterday to kind of make sure everybody was on the same page in preparation for Old Settlers Festival. Monday we're closed for Memorial Day, and evaluations are coming up, things like that. I'm down, so we had 28 applicants for park director, 8 applicants, or 8 individuals went to interviews. We narrowed that to 3 individuals who had a group interview with the staff. And so I took some of their information, comments. I also took our Park Board President Keith Nicholson, who sat in on those as well, took his information in. So I'm narrowing to a decision here in the very near future, probably by the end of the week, but it's just, I'll let you know when I make the decision, okay? Besides that, I think that's all I got right now. So happy Memorial Day, and on Thursday, happy birthday to the first city of Columbus. Walt?
Do you want to table the round and be able to probably do?
Melanie, do you have anything to say? So our meeting started at 5,
I
so
wonder if that-
that's okay. Do you have anything you want to address the council with tonight?
Same as always.
Okay, well, I want to give you that opportunity if you want to do that or not.
Sure.
Okay,
I'm here.
okay.
Sorry, I knew it was an hour early and I just forgot. to put that in
It's
the
okay,
order.
it's all good. It's all
I'm
good.
Melanie Love, 113 East Market Street. So just wanted to remind you guys that chickens are very, very important. You know, the economy's still not doing amazing, probably not going to recover anytime real soon, so I'm a pessimist, I guess. But being able to provide at least eggs for our families is, I think, really important to have that.
Great.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you. Walt?
No.
Dan?
Nothing, sir.
Jennifer?
I'm very excited to share that the Arts Commission has started their first public art project.
Yes.
The mural that's in the, well, it kind of spills out onto the street over by Okie Alley. It's underway and started last weekend. Probably not going to work on it this weekend because of the holiday weekend, but it will start up again soon. People are invited to participate if they want to. You can come and look, ask questions, or you can actually participate if you would like to. So,
That's great, that's great. Question on that, just as a side note. I noticed obviously all the sidewalks blocked for that, and I don't have a problem with that, but if it's not gonna be worked on, can we open up at least a path? Is that possible?
There is a path open.
There is a path now, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I must have missed that, so I apologize, my bad, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay.
And we had to put that up because people were walking through the freshly painted paint.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
You're very smart not to.
I was gonna say, was that not apparent when you guys were on your hands and knees
I'll
walking?
go walk through it
It
anyway.
says
I mean,
what
It
paint?
helped when we started adding color. I think
Yeah.
that made it more clear.
Okay.
Before that, I think they thought that there was like an oil spill right there.
Oh, okay, well, okay, very good.
Yeah, so it's good now.
Anything else?
Not at this time.
Okay, I think on Melanie's thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we're getting close to an ordinance of some sort.
Indeed.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. Cad
Nothing.
and Jenny,
Nothing.
anything, there's nobody else, so we'll call the meeting adjourned, thank you.